Hi guys, it's Nick, the ASMR nerd, and welcome to another episode of Relaxing Reviews. Now, many of you probably know that I really love mechanical keyboards, and I try to stay on top of the latest and greatest trends in keyboard technology. But when it comes to keyboards, newer is not necessarily always better. In fact, there are many enthusiasts who will tell you that they just don't make them like they used to. One need look no further than the exploding popularity of classic keyboards amongst enthusiasts and collectors. Keyboards like IBM's Model M from the 1980s, for example. Some people like it for its solid build quality. Some people like it for its hipster retro cred that it gives you. But some people just like it for the nostalgia. It reminds them of their youth and growing up, that sort of thing. But what about those of us who grew up and came of age a little bit later? Those of us who started gaming in the late 90s or even the early 2000s. Well, there's a growing contingent of keyboard enthusiasts who claim that keyboards from that era are the ones that you really want to be looking out for at your local thrift shop. And in that spirit, today I'm going to be reviewing Microsoft's Internet keyboard from circa 2001. Let's take a closer look. And here we have Microsoft's Internet keyboard. I can't say it's in box because there is no box. This is a genuine vintage article, well used. But that gives it that authenticity, doesn't it? Let's take a look at what we've got here. First impressions are very positive. I like the aesthetics a lot. This kind of swoopy design here, this sort of beigey off-white look. It's really this kind of retro chic aesthetic, isn't it? It's got this lovely plastic wrist rest here. Very comfortable to the touch. Oh, wonderfully squeaky to the plastics that this is made with. And that carries right through to the main chassis of the board. It all has this very hollow feel all throughout. Of course, this wouldn't be an internet keyboard without some internet shortcut buttons. So let's see what we've got here. For surfing the web, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this wrist rest so that we can get the board in a little closer to the camera. And it's just that easy. Oh, look, we've got authentic grime and dust from years of use. That's how you know it's the genuine article, the real deal. Alright, so. Oh yeah, listen to that squeak, that flex. Instills real confidence in the build quality. Okay, so gosh, this is actually harder than I expected. This thing's a beast. It's enormous. Bezels on this thing. Huge. So up here we've got a bevy of dedicated internet navigation buttons. We've got a back button, a forward button, stop, mail, because everyone needs a dedicated mail button, search, favorites, and a home button, which looks like it also opens your browser. We all need one of those, right? The search button, I guess that'll open, Google or whatever for you. And over here, we've got a My Computer, the ever-popular calculator, and a sleep button. Dedicated sleep button. I wish I had a dedicated sleep button. Just push it, go to sleep. So, that's kind of the internet part of this internet keyboard. But let's take a look. Let's just take a cruise around here. So, like I said, we've got this white ABS. It's not even white, it's off-white. So this is kind of slightly yellowed material. It's kind of got a matte texture to it, although it's a bit shined up after years of use, as are these keycaps. I think they're made of the same material, probably ABS. Nothing around that side, no unnecessary USB ports or anything to be found here. An attached cable, of course. Who needs removable cables? That's just a way to lose your cable, right? And then around the back, goodness, we've got a dissertation on the back. Oh, that's upside down for you. On the back, we've got all kinds of logos and certifications. We've got to look at this holographic sticker, genuine Microsoft product. Microsoft Internet Keyboard, it says here. And a barcode and serial numbers. We've got these non-slip, non-skid rubberized feet, and the ever-popular flip-out feet if you want to elevate your board. God, look at these. I love these creaky plastics. So good. And then we have this massive health and safety warning over here, because using keyboards is extremely, extremely dangerous. Let's read a little bit of it and see what they say. It says here, health warning. Use of a keyboard or mouse may be linked to serious injuries or disorders. When using a computer, as with many activities, you may experience occasional discomfort in your hands, arms, shoulders, neck, or other parts of your body. Do not ignore these warning signs. Promptly see a qualified health professional. Fair enough. Ergonomics are important. That's something we should all strive to, or strive towards. Ergonomics are something that are not to be ignored. Not in the early 2000s and not now. Make sure you've got an ergonomic setup, guys, for your gaming battle station or for your office desk. So coming back around the front, we looked at the internet hotkeys. Let's take a look at these keycaps. They are obviously a non-standard bottom row, but that's all a sacrifice made for ergonomics, and quite frankly, it doesn't really matter, does it? Because these keycaps are completely non-removable. Well, not if you want to put them back on, anyway. These keycaps cannot be swapped out, which, in a way, if you think about it, is a real positive, because it means it's one less thing you have to worry about, right? Who needs swappable caps. You know, with these guys, you've got one set of caps. You'll never have to worry about changing them out because you'll never have the option. The legends are pad printed. You can feel and maybe see the fact that they're a little bit raised. Got a little bit of relief to them. But, you know, even after all these years of service, they have not worn off, which is genuinely impressive, actually. But the keys, oh boy, they've shined up real good. Look at how the plastic is shined up on that space bar. You can see it's got kind of matte texture towards each end, and then it's real shiny and smooth right in the middle there. And that fate has befallen many of the keys. In fact, most of them sort of started off. Oh, maybe not. No, they started off matte, but they became shiny over time. The ones that are used less, like the Z and the brackets here, still retain a bit of their matte texture, whereas the ones that are used more are real shiny. And of course, underneath each of these keycaps, you have a rubber membrane, a continuous rubber membrane all the way across this board with a little dome. When you press down, it inverts that dome and you make contact. What an efficient way to make a keyboard. And the feel of each key, mushy, indistinct, it's divine, really. This is what keyboards these days are lacking, honestly. It's just that it's got that wiggle to it. It has this slow and mushy rebound. It's very indistinct, and it's hard to tell when you're actuating that key. And then it bottoms out with this kind of creaky, mushy feel. Honestly, it's perfect. I don't know why we ever moved away from these. And of course, the authentic grime and dust between all the keys reminds you this is the real deal. Reminds you that it's genuine. And you can't really clean it very easily because you can't remove the keycaps, but hey, why would you want to clean it? You know, this just reminds you that this is a genuine vintage article. Of course, it's full size, so we have the numpad, we have our nav cluster and arrow keys and all that good stuff. Let's give it the old flex test, shall we? See if it flexes. Oh, lordy. Oh yeah, she flexes, but you know what? That's nice. It's flexible, right? It's good to be flexible. It's not gonna like snap on you or anything. It's not brittle and hard like some of those newer keyboards. No, this one's pliable. It gives you a real feeling of adaptability and flexibility. That's what it does, right? That twist to the board. Fantastic product. Last thing, let's take a look at what's on the other end of this fixed cable. It's not USB. No, no, no. We have here a genuine PS2 connector. It's awesome and purple. It's round. It has big chunky pins. It's got this cool little keyboard stamped on the housing. It's got this little bump to let you know what direction you're plugging it in, because that's important. It only plugs in one way. And unlike USB, the PS2 connector is practically infallible. You can use it in your BIOS without any drivers, you know, your UEFI setup or whatever. You can use it on any version of Windows or any operating system, really. It'll just work. It just works, guys. It just works. None of the stupid drivers that Universal Serial Bus requires. No compatibility conflicts. It'll just muscle through all that. It'll just work. PS2 connector. What a classic. Fantastic design choice on this keyboard. Who needs USB? Not me. Not you. PS2 is where it's at. Alright, well, now that we've taken a closer look at this board, looked at this beautiful ergonomic, rounded design, these shined up ABS caps with these pad printed legends, and that wonderful flex to the whole board. Cap it off with this PS2 connector. This review is heading in a very favorable direction, but I think what we really need to do is the typing test. So let's plug this thing in. I'll let you guys see it and hear it in action before we reconvene for summarizing the pros and cons of this board, and then I'll give you my final verdict. But first, the typing test. All right, so now that we've had a chance to take a closer look at Microsoft's Internet Keyboard and you've had a chance to see it in action, it's time to run down the pros and the cons of this board. And as you know, I like to start with the pros. So the first thing I really like about Microsoft's Internet Keyboard is that awesome retro aesthetic. The combination of that kind of beigey off-white color, those big chunky bezels, and those kind of curved contours, those round shortcut keys, they take me right back to the time of wallet chains and frosted tips. They really capture that early 2000s aesthetic, and I think we could all use a little bit more of that in our lives these days. Second thing I really dig about this board is those non-removable keycaps. You have nothing to worry about when you can't remove the keycaps. You just use the ones it came with. There's no option to swap them out, even if you wanted. And besides, who would want to replace these amazing ABS pad printed caps? They're fantastic. And the third thing I really like about this board is that rad PS2 connector. Who needs USB when you have PS2? If you ever have a situation where USB isn't working for you, such as, I don't know, trying to use your BIOS without legacy USB mode enabled, or your UEFI or something like that, PS2 has you covered. Never have to worry about drivers or the vagaries of the universal serial bus. PS2 powers through all that with brute force, will work in any scenario, and hey, if, like a crazy person, you don't have a PS2 connector anymore, you can just get a PS2 to USB adapter. Boom. Perfect. PS2 connectors. Why did they ever go away? However, not everything is rainbows and gumdrops with the Microsoft Internet Keyboard, and there are a few cons that I really need to bring to your attention. The first place that I feel this keyboard could improve would be by having more dedicated internet shortcut buttons. Sure, we've got, back and forward and stop and refresh and email and search and home, but what if, for instance, we had a dedicated incognito mode button so I could get up to my private browsing at the single press of a button? Or how about some dedicated media buttons? It'd be really convenient for when I'm trying to play Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory in my custom skinned version of Winamp or Real Player. The second drawback of this keyboard is that it might just be too awesome for some people. It might be a little bit more early 2000s attitude than most people can handle. It comes from a time when the millennium was still fresh and full of possibility, and that really comes out in the design. So those of you born a bit earlier, say in the early 1980s or a bit later, might not be able to appreciate what this keyboard is bringing to your desk. And the third thing that I feel this board could improve on, who am I kidding? There's no third thing. This keyboard is practically perfect in every way, aside from the minor gripes that I've mentioned here. So, after all that, what is my final verdict on Microsoft's circa 2001 Internet Keyboard? Well, let's just put it this way. I think this is the pinnacle of keyboard design. And honestly, it's been all downhill since then. RGB, custom keycaps, mechanical switches, hot swappable boards. You don't need any of that. All you need is Microsoft's Internet Keyboard. It's true what they say. They just don't make them like they used to. And with that, we bring to a close another review. Don't forget, if you'd like to check out Microsoft's Internet Keyboard and pick one up for yourself, there is a link down in the video description where you can do just that. Thank you for watching today, guys. I hope you found this informative, and I hope you found it relaxing. And I look very forward to having you back here next time for another episode of Relaxing Reviews. Happy April Fools, guys. Bye for now.